Okay, so for the record, it is Wednesday, December 16th, 12 p.m. Eastern, which is -5 GMT, so it's 1700 GMT. And we are here for the Sakai Morpheus currently weekly check-in. I think that was one of the questions that came up in the last meeting. So I think one is we probably want to cover what our holiday schedule is going to be, as well as, what was the other thing? Shoot, just slipped my mind. Holiday schedule. Oh yeah, and whether we want to go to, I think, bi-weekly, or maybe after we get through this stretch here, having whether less frequent meetings, it makes sense. I will mention that I did bring up we brought up on the call for the Open Apereo conference, which I think 5 or 6 of us are on the Open Apereo conference, right? I'm on the conference, Jeff, Wilma, Mariano. So it's pretty funny. I think they're redoing it. I suggested, can we do Monday at noon? It turned out Tuesday also was bad for the guy from Zerte, Julian Tenney, I believe. So they're going to send out a new poll. So that's cool. So hopefully it won't be Tuesday, because it seems like Tuesday at noon is a pretty good time for this group, especially if it's not every week, if we decide to go less frequently. So we'll see how that poll goes. Quickly, I guess, holiday schedule. Next Wednesday would be the 23rd, the day before the day of Christmas or something like that. Does anyone have any? I'll paste in case you haven't seen, I paste in the Etherpad link. I can paste it in again. Let's see. All right. So let's just quickly see if we can figure out the holiday schedule for the next meetings, and then we'll get on the agenda. So yeah, next we could be next week. I'm going to be working, but I think some people may be already off, and then the week after that is like the week before, is like the day before December 31st, which is New Year's Eve. So do people have any preferences over the next couple of weeks of when they want to meet?
Yeah, we're here next week, but not the following and the following.
So you're here next week, the 23rd, but you're not around for the 30th. Oh, that's right. I remember you told me that, the 30th or the even the 6th, and of course, or the 5th, because we don't know if it's going to be.
Yeah.
So, okay. So do we want to make the next meeting tentatively Tuesday the 12th of January?
Okay, perfect.
Sounds good.
Okay. Cool. That sounds good. And then we'll see where it goes. Again, there'll be a if there's ends up being no conflict, maybe we can just keep this time, and we can talk about, why don't we talk about whether we want less frequent meetings after we kind of review the open issues. Oh, I see a +1 from Wimble. Good. I need to look. So Sean's here the next week, but not the following. Oh, okay. But are everyone okay with the 12th of January is the next meeting? Oh, you could do Tuesday. Oh, you could do Tuesday the next week. Do people want to move to Tuesday next week, or just kind of go right for the holidays? Sorry about that. I should have been looking at the chat. Questions?
Yeah, no problem. I know it's hard.
Yeah. So Jeff can do Tuesdays. Depends on how today goes. Okay.
Yeah. Neil, do you know if next week there is a Open Apereo call? No.
I don't have a call on. No, I don't think there is.
Okay.
I don't think there is.
So maybe next week we can try for Tuesday as for regular time.
Okay. Why don't we try that? And I'll check on that. Let me see. Yeah, because having that extra meeting might be helpful. So let's see. That's a long time to go between calls. So I'm going to check, and I will confirm whether we're doing the 22nd, if that's okay. It looks like mostly people can do Tuesday. So, all right. So let's try action. December 22nd. Conflicts with Open Apereo meeting. If not, we'll have this meeting. And then the one after that would be the 12th of January. Okay. And look at the chat again, see if there's any other comments. All right, nothing there. So that sounds like that'll work. Let's see. So we have the follow-up from last time. I'm going to go to the Open Dashboard, My Workspace discussion. The second link, the second Google Doc link. This is what I've got on the agenda. Others are welcome to add, but it seems to me, pretty logical, right? We had the continuation discussion from last time where we had Morpheus agreements. I was going to say, what about this? I was going to say, why don't we get through talking about the Morpheus agreements and the TBDs and the Open Dashboard and the Morpheus tool-by-tool testing, kind of just see where we are holistically, and then come back to this one.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask, I've read the minutes today from the core team meeting from yesterday, and I saw that both documents were listed on the minutes. So
yes.
How was the feedback from the group?
If we go to the Open Dashboard, the second link where we just pasted in the issue, we had two. It seemed like people were pretty much in favor of just having one home and changing My Workspace to be home. So people were I think we're sticking with consensus on the My Workspace being called home, and I think we have consensus that it makes sense not only to have one thing called home. Then I think the next question would be whether that should be renamed to dashboard or something else, and then whether the tool, I guess, the dashboard tool should be renamed if there's a need for that or not. So I think so. I think that's my perception. I forget if anyone else was on the call from the core team that's on here. I think, Jeff, you may have been on there.
Yep, I was on. I was just unmuting.
Okay, yeah, just wondering if, I don't know, if there were any comments, positive, negative, to anything, like related to Morpheus.
They didn't give general Morpheus comments. They mostly commented on the specific issue. And You can see Matthew Bucket and Earl Neitzel's comment on the right of the Google Doc.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
So is My Workspace going to be named Homed Under the Hood? I don't know. I see. My personal thinking is maybe we don't need to worry about renaming the tool so much, that what's more important is the user-facing part of it. I think developers in general and QA people are technically savvy enough to understand the distinction. And so kind of I don't have a strong attachment to this position, but kind of I'm thinking it's more important what we put in the user interface than it is what we do behind the scenes. So that's my 2 cents. Now I'll shut up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that, as long as it's changed up front, and then we could kind of kick it to the developers to decide if they want to actually change the tool name, but obviously the user is the most important. Yeah, but I think it seemed to resonate, the idea, as it says in the doc, the idea of one home. I think they were just mulling it over, like, the names.
So any other opinions? Does anyone have? So let's say the first one's consensus. Number one is consensus. We want to. The workspace is now called home. We're making it home icon. It's already in master. We talked about link to home could be available under the drop down the upper right. And although home is still a site, we're not including it in a button like other sites. So I mentioned that too. I didn't really get any feedback. So I think that means the Sakai core team, the people who were on the call in the Sakai core team, were okay with that. I think what we'll want to do is come to consensus here, and then I think we'll want a more broad, send it out more broadly for a few days. But I think we can get going on making some of these changes if we need to. But just to make sure everyone is advised.
Hey Neil, just a quick question on that for the group. So if a school wanted to style that home as being in a button like the other sites, and maybe even if they wanted to add text to it, is it the way it's being implemented, is it flexible enough that they could do that?
Yeah, I think it would be easy because there would be a label, and it would be easy to make just display in line, display block, or display none.
Okay, cool.
I think we don't need to remove any label, thinking already on accessibility.
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes it an easier decision for folks. So if somebody looks at it and says, well, I like the home icon, but I want it to still say my workspace, or I want it to say home to the right of it. Or if they say, well, I want it to appear in a button, they could do that locally. So as long as they have that option, I think it makes it an easier decision for folks.
So I see in the comments, so is my workspace going to be named home? Okay, well, we already talked about that. We should make it configurable, was a suggestion in Sakai properties. One property for display icon / icon with text / text only.
Okay, I think it would be a little bit more difficult to just change 1 or 2 lines on the CSS. But cool. Did you think it would be easier for developers or for sysadmins? It would be great too.
I think that I think it's a nice idea to have it in Sakai properties. However, I think for maybe phase 1, especially with a tight timeline, as long as you include documentation on how to make that change, and it's only like 1 line in the CSS, I think that would be okay for at least phase 1. Okay. And then if we really think that Sakai property is, I think, a great idea, because that's where we try and put as much as possible all the configuration of Sakai, so it makes it consistent. But I just don't see it as necessarily a priority, especially when as long as you document.
Okay.
So I wouldn't worry. That's my opinion. Is that a good idea? But I wouldn't make it a priority because it might require coding and take extra time, and we want to get this done pretty soon. And I don't know if others agree with that. So I went off at 12:16, according to my clock, 12:16, yep, 45 seconds. So whoever was closest to 12:17 wins. So let's see, was that Sean?
Without going over, I bid $1. I bid $1, Neil. I bid $12.01. I think I win this one. Right. Yeah, but you know what? It's probably just the dinette.
This isn't the price right. I'm sorry.
No. We decided on the rules, but I probably only won the dinette set, not the car. So whatever.
Well, you're very generous. Maybe you can give it to charity or something.
So that was pretty close, 12, 16, 45. I mean, I would round. It's sort of like what they did in the debates last night to get Rand Paul on the stage. I mean, so I think under Republican rules, Sean wins.
Wow.
All right. So, all right. Anyway, let's get back. So we have a consensus on those two things. It sounds like so it would be nice to have a property for the button. I don't know if anyone wants to throw in notes. It'd be great. But I'll try. Wait, let's see. It would be nice. Would be nice to have a property to set the my workspace home, which is now home, to be a different name and or a button, and a button for local customization, but okay, not to have that for now. Oh, as a Sakai property, yeah, as a Sakai property. So, Sean, you want to drink? I think of water. Is water pretty good for you? Let's see.
Sakai beer.
Just documenting should be sufficient. Just documenting if the CSS code or however you're documenting it. Morpheus configuration should be fine. One property, yeah, thanks for putting that suggestion in. So, so I guess in the next question, which I don't know if there's consensus on or not, but then the question was, should we change what's currently the home? Now, in master, the home is right now, if you went to a site, if you went to a project site or a core site, what would you say?
Bye-bye.
What's that?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye?
I lost you. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, you lost me?
Yeah.
I'm here. As long as it's clean. Oh, okay. The water. Cool. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Maybe that'll help to visualize things. Wow. And run. So, so this is what we're seeing right now. Is we have a home button on the site, and we also have a dashboard. So the home is one thing, and the dashboard is a different thing. So the suggestion is what? The suggestion is, let's see, eliminate confusion between home agent site and home inner site, agent site and the main home. Rename dashboard tool to activity stream. So the suggestion is to rename the dash. Oh, but we now have a home and a dashboard, right? So we want two things. Oh, I see. Rename dashboard to activity streams and home to dashboard. Is that the suggestion?
Yeah.
So what do people think about that? +1, 0, concerns? I think we should just pick something and go with it. Oh, I see there's some suggestions in the chat. Okay. Dashboard won't be ready for work sites, right? Not sure what the default is, but a lot of people are starting to use lessons as the landing page for their sites. And yeah, here in UMU too, most teachers are doing that. Sean is suggesting site overview. Yeah, I like activity stream better for dashboard. Roy Ray is zeros neutral on it. So I'm at the moment neutral. I'm wondering if somebody would be willing to take a microphone and discuss their thinking about what a good change of names is. The question is right now we have home and dashboard in a site, and we don't want to confuse things. So we don't want to have a home in the site and also have the home that represents my works, that landing place. So the question is, what should we rename? It seemed like people were on board with not having two homes, so we want to rename this. If we rename this to something like dashboard, then it would be, of course, really, really as confusing as you possibly can get. So the question is, what should we name? Right, what should we rename the home tool, and whether we should also rename the dashboard tool? Because if we change home to dashboard, I think the thinking is that there has been discussion in the community. I've seen that on the chat here about maybe eventually making lessons. Lessons is a really flexible tool, and it could be over time we want to use lessons for things like replace a syllabus tool with maybe a lessons with a tool that has a syllabus template of some sort. It could be that we want to replace the home with lessons, because again, you could use it as a syllabus. You could do other things with it. But for the interim, I don't think that we're going to get that in for 11 if we do that. So what we're left with right now is our existing home, which is the synoptic tools, right? But we're all used to, that people in the community are very used to. It's been this way, I think, for a very, very long time. Recent announcements, site information display, and then if we change home to dashboard, I think the eventual idea is that we would merge what's in the synoptic tools with the dashboard, and it would be like one.
That was actually something that we talked about after the UX testing that we did at Open Apereo last year. Was merging those two into a single tool, because right now the dashboard doesn't have some of the synoptic stuff, but people were kind of expecting it to be there. So if those two tools were one tool, it would be a lot more useful for users, but that's too much for Sakai 11.
Yep.
So I don't know. I mean, I think it depends on how many people are actually used to calling dashboard. I think if we start calling something else dashboard, it might be a little confusing. If we just renamed it to activity stream, I think that would work, but then we still have the two home problem. So I don't know, maybe we should rename home to activity stream.
Well, I think the idea of calling it dashboard is like that's sort of your central place to see what's going on, and it seems that if we agree that we're going to merge them in 12, then activity streams for now, which it's not currently a core tool. Is that right? Like in 10? Is it part of core in 10?
Dashboard? No.
Yeah, no, dashboard's not part of 10 at
all. No.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I don't think I think the number of people who know it and are familiar with it is probably small enough. So
they wouldn't really notice the name change all that much.
Yeah. And then, for the next version we roll everything into what's dashboard. So
yeah. Well, that could work, I guess. If dashboard becomes activity stream and home becomes dashboard, and then in the next iteration activity stream goes away because it's kind of rolled into dashboard.
Yeah.
I was gonna add one more proposal. I was just checking how OA named that. They call it recent activity.
Yeah.
The activity feed. I mean, which is
the feed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much like Facebook or Twitter, and they call it recent activity.
Right.
Yeah, just.
The only thing with that for the stuff that's in the dashboard tool now is it's got upcoming stuff, so it's not necessarily recent.
Right.
Oh, look, it says here recent activity inside the dashboard.
Right.
The second.
Yeah, maybe activity stream or site activity or something. But yeah, I mean, the other thing is I don't know. So it's a core tool in 11. Were there did the performance issues with it get resolved? I mean, for like big sites with a lot of activity, does anyone know if that's still an issue?
I do remember when hearing when dashboards first rolled out that it was like in Colombia, for example, and then it was immediately taken out because they had performance issues. I'm pretty sure that those resolved. I don't know 100%, but I'm pretty sure they were. I don't think the Sakai core team PMC would have accepted dashboard as a core tool if those performance issues still existed. So not 100% sure, but I think so.
Yeah. I guess the other thing with dashboard as a name, like when you look at kind of an executive dashboard, these types of reports, or other types of dashboards, it's like they have it's kind of widgety. It shows you those different indicators. So I think that's one reason. Another reason I think the name may fit well.
I remember from the testing, people were expecting to find like forum posts or new messages, that sort of information in the dashboard. So I think it kind of fits with the synoptic tools.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is what I'm hearing that people are pretty comfortable with renaming home to dashboard and renaming dashboard to activity stream, although there was another question of recent, does anyone have a preference of recent activity versus activity stream? I see, of course, with dashboard you have start, hidden, past, and a few other things. Activity stream. Why don't we do a quick temperature of the group? That's what I like to call it, a temperature, which is like a little mini proposal. It's always easier to give feedback on a specific thing than have a general discussion. So why don't we make the proposal that we will change home to dashboard and change dashboard to say activity stream, with the intention that those will get merged into dashboard for Sakai 12. Of course, it's not up to us per se because we need buy-in and development resources, but just at least on a principle, that's the proposal. So in the chat, if you could I could do the poll, I guess. Could I do a poll? Let me try poll again. Let's see, start a poll. Yes, no. So either yes or no. Go ahead. So yes, if that's a good proposal. Home to dashboard and dashboard to activities. It's okay to say no if other people say yes. That's what I'm going to put for. We got 3. I'm not voting at the moment. 3 out of 6. So 2 people haven't voted. I'll give you a few seconds. If you're neutral, I guess you could not vote.
Hey, Neil, I'm sorry. You put it in a poll?
Yeah. I put a live poll up there. 4 people have responded. So you don't see it?
It's in the chat or it's in the?
Wait, you have to hide Jeff. You have sorry, my mic was off.
Oh, I see it. Okay, got it.
You have to hide yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got 100% that are. Yeah, I'll get the question, but it looks like 100% were on it. But just to make sure, it's the dashboard. And I changed the that suggests that it would be nice to all be merged to dashboard one place in Sakai 12. But for Sakai 11, it would be Dashboard, dashboard activity stream. There's an echo.
That's me, probably.
Okay. Okay. Entonces, nosotros, ¿cómo se dice? Empieza de tener un nombre de casa. So we'll do, okay, I think we're there. We got home. I think everybody's on board. You're very generous. Changed home to dashboard for a site on a site level, and change the current name of dashboard to taught with J, not with H. Interesting. We laugh with J. Oh, I say. Oh, huh. Sure, it makes sense. And dashboard to activity stream. So it sounds like this group is going to make that recommendation. So that's our consensus. So that's great.
We probably need to change the icons too if the names change.
Yes, that's a good point. So it seemed like we could do the dashboard. We could keep, when we rename the home to dashboard, we can use that same icon, and we just need a new one for the activity stream?
Yep.
Does anyone want to you can pick an icon maybe for the next time to show people, unless somebody has something like right now. Rename dashboard to activity stream. Move the dashboard icon with the dashboard name. We need a new activity stream icon. So, Eduardo, would you mind for next meeting, picking something out, or a couple of choices, or for an activity stream?
Okay, sure.
Cool. All right. So, do we have it? Have we reached consensus on everything, or is there anything else?
Oh.
Let's see. I may have to update the original document here. I think that's what we'll have to do. So I'll just drag this over here. Original document, we'll just double check that we've got consensus on all the issues. Whoops. Let's see. So we obviously had agreements on the breadcrumb navigation. We now have consensus on the My Workspace. We now have consensus on this. I may need to review the wording to make sure it is renamed to activity streams. Okay, we'll get rid of something similar. Consensus on username and avatar and upper right. Left menu. I think we were okay on this. I forget where we left it with left menu style change. I think we did have some discussion on that, but I don't remember the outcome. Does anyone remember the outcome on number 5? Or it looks like we may need a little discussion on that one. We'll need to see if we got consensus on the tool sub area. We'll come back to the other one. Consensus on site and favorites. So we've got consensus on a lot of things, but it looks like number 5 we were not clear.
Yeah, I think where we left off on that was that for now, we'll focus on the design as it currently stands, this vertical-based design that's like compacted. But that user testing will be needed later on to see if independent scrolling within that tool menu would be helpful or not on mobile.
So,
Right. I think what Sean said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean says, I think we were going to continue with the proposed idea for number 5 and do user testing later. So by continue with the proposed ideas, go ahead and implement it. Is that what that means? We just go ahead and implement it, and later we'll do the user testing. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Everyone good with that? And that's not what's in here right now, right? Whoops. This is what we have right now. Move that over a little bit. That's what we have now. So if this list got longer, then it would, in master, yeah. So in the document, that's what we have now, but but it still needs something in master. Sorry if I'm behind the times. Okay. I know most of the documents points aren't in master. Some of them are. I was just asking about specifically number 5.
No, I don't think it's in.
Okay. So is everyone okay with that? Yeah. Okay. Anyone have? Okay, great. Thank you for putting us that in chat. All right, super. So we have consensus on that. UX testing later. I think that we have consensus on everything. So tools, sub area buttons, change to tabs. We were gonna initially just make that style changes, but it's too much work to make them actual tabs. I know, right? Lots of thumbs up. Site drawer and favorites. We like thumbs up on that. Everybody like that? Okay. There were some open questions. Did we decide on top or bottom navigation for mobile view? Oh yeah, that was, darn it, I forgot to ask that on the core team. Yeah, or did I? No, I think
there was a voting for that.
There was voting for that?
Yeah, for the top navigation, I think so.
Right. Right, we didn't have consensus though. We had like, most people were in favor of the top instead of bottom, but
yeah, most people on the top.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have a slight preference, I admit it, for the bottom. I understand the rationale for the top, but I do like the bottom for some reason. It seems more efficient to me. So
I don't think we talked about it on the core team call unless I joined late. Yeah, I don't think it was on the core team call.
I think that may be the only, well, I don't know if that's the only issue, but let's just, since we're at this issue, should we just go with the top navigation since the majority of people wanted the top, even though we don't have consensus? I don't think I would block consensus. I just find that that's actually one, for some reason, I do have a preference for the bottom. And there's something kind of cooler about it. Like, it seems like it's more efficient and quicker to use, and it's also kind of cooler. And I realize that you get a little bit different experience when you shrink it down, but I don't know. It's like, to me, you're already having a different experience because it's smaller anyway. So I don't know. I don't mean to open a can of worms, or maybe I do mean to open a can of worms. I don't know, but.
Well, I think that most of the people at the last call wanted the menu in the top. So yeah, I think I will go with that.
Okay. All right.
I like the experimental part, and we might do that in Murcia. So I mean, we might trick the CSS to test here the menu at the bottom. But the default Sakai, I think that at least from the last call, yeah, most of the people say that it was better on the top. So I will definitely go with that.
All right. Okay. Let's see. So site name and mobile, we agreed on that. Accessibility, resizing. So that's feedback. So I guess we're in accessibility. Just kind of see if we can kind of plow through this as quick as we can. Sorry for the background noise. Accessibility, resizing soon at the bottom of mobile interface. So Matt did make a bunch of comments here. So any comments on the accessibility? I don't see anything that I have a strong opinion on. I mean, if the accessibility group and this group is okay with it, I'm okay with it.
I think we need some requirements from Matt. So what they need to us to add in the menu. I make the idea for the font size button, but I don't know if accessibility team think that they need more buttons or different buttons. So I think we should ask for more information to Matt. It's easy to do mostly, so we have time yet to do it.
Well, I would say my suggestion would be to ask him very specifically about each one and let him know that it's pretty easy to do. And also, I don't know if it's going to impact any other interface elements on mobile. I think that would be the only downside to me is if we added a lot of new features and somehow it made the mobile too confusing. Otherwise, I would think that's fine. If you want to add it and Matt would like to have it, I think that's super. But to get his opinion beyond what he's done here, seems useful for the person that may need to know these features are on their mobile. Nice to have on a spec sheet. I know this isn't a compliance issue. What idea might have more benefit than another? So I don't think we want to give Matt a lot of time, not because we want to be mean to Matt, but because we need to, just move on, unless it's okay with you. I mean, if you want to work with Matt and figure it out, I'd be okay with that. Like whatever you guys decide, I would be okay with.
Maybe just not for 11, but later. And that's not a problem.
Yeah, either that.
We can just move forward, and if Matt later want to add some buttons or something, we can add later on 11.1.
Okay. So I'm okay with both of those. Is anyone okay with that? That either if Eduardo and Matt Flair come to an agreement on something for accessibility, and you want to get an 11, that's okay. Or if they want to make it something they come back to after 11, that's okay too. Everyone all right with that? Sounds good to Sean? Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we'll say nice. So that's the decision. It's up. I'll leave it up to you. I'll ping Matt and I'll copy you, Eduardo, and see if you guys want to get anything in 11. That's fine. If you think it's too much, that's fine too. You don't have to do anything. So number 4, tablet responsive design. And Eduardo was thinking, I was thinking on unified tablet and desktop interface, fixing left menu if the device is for touch. And Jeff was right, wondering about mid-sized tablets as well, where the full desktop interface may not fit well. I was thinking that was out of scope for 11, but I could be wrong, and I don't know what kind of effort it is. So.
Yeah, I think we said to do after 11.
Is that okay, Jeff?
Yeah, so I guess it's a question. Let's see, I was thinking unify, fixing left menu. So we're going to try the fixing of the left menu. So sorry, did we say the fixing of the left menu we're going to try and do usability testing, or that we're going to wait till post 11? I don't remember now.
I think we said we would do it, go ahead and do it, and then have usability testing on it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess the question is, I mean, when I saw this at first, I thought for tablets we were going to use, oh, I see, unify the tablet and desktop interface. Yeah, okay, I get it now. Right. So if you're not on a large tablet and you get down to these sort of smaller tablets, I guess we just have to decide on what the on what size viewport that it's kind of. We have to see what that looks like on a mid-size viewport. Is it looking exactly like it is on a phone, or is it looking like the desktop interface but a little bit smooshed down?
For now, it would depend on the screen size. I think the breakpoint is just from the width of the screen.
Yeah. So I mean, is tablet really out of scope though? I mean, with responsive designs, it should just, as you get smaller, it should, gradually adjust. So I guess I think we need to look at the content. If something doesn't fit at a specific size, then we need to adjust that component. Okay, that sounds good to me.
Okay.
Sean wrote, I think we need to look at the content. If something doesn't fit a specific size, then we need to adjust the component at a breakpoint that works.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's the tool by tool, right? I mean, that will depend in every tool, and each tool will be different. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like messages, they have like tables inside tables and inside tables and inside tables. So yeah, so that will require some work. But the idea is to have that in 11.
Right. But I mean, you just really drive off of the size of the viewport. You're not doing any kind of special detect to say, oh, I'm on an iPhone, so I'm going to do X. It's really just about the size of the viewport.
I don't know. That will probably be a question for.
The 90% is the viewport size.
Yep. Okay.
In the body tag, there is some classes that we don't use it too much.
Yep. Yeah.
It's modernizer, but it is not used too much.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't totally understand the whole conversation on this one. This one is, it sounds like we reached a consensus. But it's more about like how the tool by tool, Morpheus tool by tool approach testing is handling it.
Yeah, I think the only answer here is that, you know, when we test, we're gonna prioritize the desktop interface, and then you know, there's just gonna have to be testing on different sized devices, and see where, as Sean said, see, you know, at what point, you know, something breaks or doesn't look right. And I guess in terms of priority, this is kind of thinking ahead to testing though, is the priority first, you know, first desktop, then you know, very small viewport like a phone, and then tablet. I mean, I guess that would depend on what people are seeing in terms of, you know, usage on those devices. And we don't have to answer that now. It's just something, you know, to think about for when we get toward testing.
So I think the kind of approach we're taking right now is, fix things as we find them. So with that, additional changes, or not strictly Morpheus. So I don't know if we want to cover those or we want to celebrate that we just finished consensus. Yay!
I would celebrate.
So yeah, awesome. So so what I will plan to do, we have 5 minutes left in the meeting in case people have to go at 1. I would like to share this with Sakai core team and Sakai PMC on their public lists, and you know, let them know that if they have questions they could ask, or we can talk about it at the next meeting. And I think they'll be fine with all these decisions.
That's good, and especially since the next meeting is on Tuesday, which is after the core team. Maybe, you know, if someone is interested, they can stay for this meeting.
Right.
Yeah, that's great, and thanks, Neil, for, you know, working through this long process and facilitating.
Sure, my pleasure.
I just had a quick question. You know, we were talking about scope, you know, freezing scope for 11. So if it's in here, we're considering that as part of scope. Correct. So the favorites work. You know, the code won't be there by early January, but we're going to aim to get it, you know, before the branching at the end of the month. So I mean, we'll aim for mid-January to get that in. We'd also be willing, like the last thing at the end of this document, and this goes beyond Morpheus, but more of a scope question. At the very end of the document, those changes, you know, we were doing for tool order, you know, we'd like to try to get those in. They don't seem that fundamentally different. It just cleans up the interface a bit. So I just wanted to see, in terms of, you know, deciding whether that's in scope or not, is that something we talk about on the core team call?
So are you talking about the additional tool changes now, going back down to that?
Yeah. So just generally for scope 411. Is that something, you know, to like ensure that we say, you know, by early January, if we say, okay, this is feature freeze, is this just something I should talk about on the core team call and say, like, hey, are people up for having this, and we'll work to get it by the end of the month, end of January?
I think so. I mean, we've had some discussion on this, but I'm losing track of exactly where. But if I remember right, I do remember having a discussion around this where people were like, you know, they were fine with it if it could get into 11, I think.
Okay.
I even think Dr. Chuck was on that call, right? Chuck Severance?
I think so.
Yeah, I think, he actually mentioned that we should have a different freeze date for things related to Morpheus and the interface and things like that. So I'm sure that if there is a plan, like with a target date for that and everything, I don't think that there should be any problem on trying to get that in. But obviously, I'm not. I mean, but I'm no one here. I'm just an opinion, right? But yeah, I will. If there is a date and that date is before the branching, I don't see why anyone should object to that. But yeah, as I said, like, I don't know.
Cool, great.
And do you have a Jira for it by chance? Because I think then we just what might make it a little bit easier to organize.
Yeah, that would be good also. Yeah, Neil.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You have a Jira and maybe actually, yeah, if you have a plan, like, okay, it's gonna be for the week of the 20th, then have all that information.
Okay. Yeah, we can. Yep, we can do that.
Okay, that would be great. And we'll add that to we have that list. We have a parent Jira for a list of all the things that people were thinking they'd want to get in, so we can kind of track that. Yeah, I think that's what Sean just put in the chat there.
Cool. Great, thanks.
Yeah. Cool. And then I think number 2 on that, persistence, it's tabs across tools we've already talked about. Fixed calendars across tools for mobile. I don't remember what that is. And I don't know about the collapsed CK editor, how that works. I'm not sure. So two we've already talked about, right? And that's.
Yeah. Yeah, these are just things that I think will kind of go on. Maybe in point releases. So calendars across the tools are not. I mean, they're better than they were, but they're not quite consistent. And then the way those work on a mobile device, it doesn't work the way you'd expect it to. I mean, it works the same way on desktop. So I think those are changes that could probably even roll into point releases over time.
Okay. All right, then I would say, since we think we're going to meet next week, we can, let's say, let me go back to the chat. I've done some work locally to calendar. Sean says, I'm hoping to contribute back soon to master. Cool. Not enough for number 3, but might help. That's really cool to hear. It is 1 p.m. I would say, since we're meeting next week, and I can put some of this, like I said, I'll just send a link out to the document to Core and PMC, and we can kind of check in. And then, I don't know that we have to decide on the frequent meetings makes sense, less frequent makes sense, because we now have our meeting for next Tuesday and then one for after the holidays, and we can make that decision, either of those times, right? So that would be my suggestion. And so and the tool by tool I put in the agenda just to remind people that we could still use, I believe, help with testing on that area. So, any way that you can encourage, or if you have suggestions for me for encouraging the community, that might be a good thing. I know it's the holidays, so it might be a little tough right now, and especially since I'm also asking for Sakai 10.6 testing on top of that, but something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So just see, is there anything else anyone wants to cover? Or do you folks ready to, yeah, we are getting there. It's a great job, everybody, I agree. And Sean, yeah, he thinks that probably could decide on the frequency on January 12th. So any other agenda items, or folks ready to adjourn for today?
I'm ready.
Okay.
7 p.m. Yeah, I think it's.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Time to go home. Yeah.
I'm sure, yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you next Tuesday. Wilma, enjoy your vacations.
Yeah. Be good, Wilma. Bye all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.